So I wanted to take a moment to share with you how to get your photos from your phone to your computer. What you're going to want to do is sort your files so that you have them all in one spot. And right now I've created that test shared album, and I'm going to use that same album. I'm going to select the kitchen shots that I made. I'm going to upload them to the computer. So up here in the corner, you'll see select. I'm going to tap select, and now I can drag my finger to select multiple. Sorry, starting with one image, then I'm going to drag to select multiple. Okay, can you see that? And now I'm going to just hit this button down on the bottom, and I'm going to airdrop it to myself. And you can see that my computer is already showing up. So if it isn't showing up, when you click this button, it'll show nearby devices that it discovers. And I'm going to just send it to myself, and it's sending. And on my computer screen, you'll see that it'll say received. There might be a couple of settings that you need to change in order to make this happen. If you don't know enough about it, you can always go online and do a search for yourself. Apple has great online help for all this. So, and now we're going to go to the computer. And you can see that in my downloads folder, here are the images that downloaded and came in. Here are the kitchen shots. These are the images that I will be working on. So now that it's in my downloads folder, I generally want to create an organization to keep everything in one spot. So if you haven't done so already, you can name your folder and put it somewhere that you're going to remember where it is. So for me, everything goes into pictures. All right. So there it is within the picture folder. And now I'm going to open up my files in Lightroom. So now that we're in Lightroom, we can create a new catalog, and I'm going to put it in the same folder as my images, and I'm going to label it test underscore L Lightroom catalog, LRCat, and it's going to go in the same folder. And I'm going to tell it to skip backing up my last session. All right, so now in this new collection, you don't have any images yet. So what we need to do is actually go and pull the images in to the library panel. All right. So if you don't have Lightroom, it's a $10 a month application that you can get from Adobe. You can pay by the year, and it comes with Photoshop. All right. So in the library panel, I'm just going to go and select my images, and I'm going to drag it into the library panel. It'll ask me to import, and I will import. I don't need it right now for address, and it's telling me that it's off. That's fine. All right. And so now I'm going to look for my raw image. Here is the raw image. All right. You'll see the file name down here. It says .dng, so that's the raw image. And you can also see what a JPEG of the same shot looks like. Okay, so to edit an image in Lightroom, we have a couple of different options. I wanted to show you the same things that we did for the other images that we corrected. So these were the images that we corrected. This one we had some we had less trouble with, but when we got to this one, we had a lot of trouble with it. So I can show you how to fix an image like this in I'm sorry. That's not the one. Alrighty, here you go. So here is the image that we couldn't fix in the camera application. So I've brought it into Lightroom to kind of show you what I would do with it in here. Of course, we didn't shoot this particular one in raw image mode, so there are certain things that we cannot correct. But if you go to the develop panel and scroll all the way down to your transform tool, you have this handy dandy little button right here. You can click that, and that's going to give you a line tool. And what you can do with this line tool is use it to draw a line where you know that it's going to be a vertical 90-degree line. So I'm going to draw it here. And to make the horizontal lines, you can do it this way. So I'm just going to look for the floorboard there, and I'm going to line it up with the top of the hood. So there you go. So now it's forced this image into the proper perspective, and now we will crop it, constrain to image, meaning it won't show anything that's not able to be shown. So here we are, and now we've cropped it, and I want it to be a 4:5 crop. We've centered it properly here. And there you go. That's how you fix an image, fix an image in Lightroom. Crop out the side, and now you have a perspectively correct image that was not shot correctly in the beginning. All right. Here we go. We can fix this one as well just by clicking our perspective tool. We can draw lines, find vertical lines on the furthest outer edges of your photo if you can, and find lines that extend a distance if you can. If you can't, you can always just sort of make it up, and then judge whether or not what you chose was correct. Okay, that's a little bit better. So even though this image is now perspectively correct, the exposure is not. So unfortunately, we can't correct this much because it was shot in JPEG. I'll show you what happens when we do try to correct it. It becomes more saturated and more contrasty. The shadows we're going to try and pick up, but it gets very saturated when we do that. So in order to fix that, I'm just going to take this vibrance down a little bit. Okay, and it's looking just a tiny bit pink, so I'm going to change the white balance, add a tiny bit of green to offset that, and there you go. That's an okay image, and I'll do the same now in the raw format. So here is the raw image version. First thing we'll do is correct the perspective to make sure it's square. It's level to the walls. Okay, we can give it a crop. And then what we'll do is we will brighten the image and add a little contrast. Take the highlights down just a little bit. Same thing with the whites. Pick up my shadows just a smidge, and then add a little bit of clarity and a little bit of dehaze. There you go. That gives me a pretty nicely exposed image. And comparing it with the JPEG, that's the JPEG version. That's the camera raw version. Sometimes the JPEG version turns out really nicely. Sometimes it turns out too red, too dark, too saturated. With the Camera Raw version, it just has more ability to be fixed in the back end. All right. I'm not going to do a whole Lightroom tutorial. This is why I encourage you just to use your iPhone, partly because the more things you have to learn, the further it puts you away from getting this marketing task done. So I highly encourage you just use your phone. If you already have knowledge, or if you have a team member who has this knowledge, then obviously utilize them. But otherwise, I would stay away from this.